What is up? Welcome to How to Get a Dream Internship, an event series from Adobe where we chat with special guests about how they are achieving their dream careers. If we're just meeting, I'm your host, Katrina Torrijos, and I am the Adobe Express Evangelist. And on the side, I am also a content creator on YouTube and on Twitch. So shout out to everyone in chat with us. Where are you all tuning in from? And feel free to connect with each other on LinkedIn. I love seeing everyone connect on LinkedIn after the show. Also seeing some connections go through on my end. So just love hanging out with everyone. Hi, Keith. Hi, Stony. Hi, Kate. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Florinda. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? Where are y'all tuning in from? I love it. I am tuning in from San Jose, California today. So it's pretty sunny still. It's still in the afternoon. And I know some folks are on the East Coast, some in Central. We have Nishay from Maryland. Hello. How's it going? Grace from Austin, Texas. Hello. Oh my gosh. So excited. James from Arizona. Wow. Love it. Okay. So today we are joined by Kennedy Jackson, Michaela Ritchie, and Emily Pencer, all amazing women in STEM who have landed their dream internships. Now we'll be doing a Q&A session, and then they'll show us some of the cool projects they made with Adobe Express. Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, people are still chiming in. Awesome. So great to hang out with you all today. Emily, Michaela, Kennedy, where are y'all tuning in from?
I am tuning in from
all at once. Everybody all at once.
I'm from Montreal, Canada.
Montreal. Oh my gosh, so far.
I'm from College Station, Texas.
Nice.
I'm in Tuscaloosa right now, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Love it. So this is what the stream is going to look like today. As I said, there's going to be a Q&A and stuff, and then we're going to go into a demo about Adobe Express, and we also have a special challenge for y'all today. So we have an Adobe Express template for you to try out, and we're also going to have some fun giveaways. So here is how it works. I have Grace on our team. Can you please drop the link to the template? So here's how it works. You're going to go to the Adobe Express LinkedIn banner template, which the link will be in the chat. And then all you have to do is just change it up and personalize it to however you want. And then post your project to your LinkedIn profile page as a post. It doesn't have to be your actual LinkedIn banner. It could just be a post if you want to. And then tag hashtag Adobe Dream Internship and hashtag Express It. And once you've done all of that, drop the link to your post into the chat right here by the end of the event. The first 25 people will get a special code for one of the fun prizes. And out of that group, 6 lucky attendees will be randomly selected for a one-on-one mentoring session with Kennedy, Michaela, or Emily, and a 1 year of subscription of Creative Cloud. And at this time, we can only ship swag to the US. So if you are outside of the US, you are still in the running to be selected for Creative Cloud or a mentoring session. So here we are on Adobe Express. So you can get here by going to the template link in the chat, and it'll pull up one of the templates. Okay, so here we have a LinkedIn banner template. You can change up the backgrounds if you want or the colors, but for the sake of time, it'll be super easy. All you have to do is click on the image if you want to put your image. We're going to hit replace, and then I'm going to pull up an image of myself from Lightroom. So we're going to pull up my Lightroom library, and then let's pull up a headshot. This looks pretty good. We're going to click it, and it's going to replace my headshot. Wow, so pretty. Okay, and then now we're going to ungroup the text here, and we're going to make it say my name, and in this case, you would put your name. So we'll do Katrina, what is my name? Torrijos, there you go. And then we're going to left justify it, and then we're going to say Adobe Express Evangelist. Perfect. Okay, so once that's finished, we're just going to adjust it just so it fits all in one line. Super easy. And then to change the colors, I have my own brand colors, but if you don't have your own brand colors, all good. All you have to do is go to the colors tab, and then you will have a bunch of different color palettes to choose from. So I am going to select my colors, and then it's just going to shuffle just like this. And all I have to do is find one that I like. We'll land on this one. Or if you want to switch out the colors yourself, you can easily just click on individual assets and then change the colors that way. But this looks pretty good. All we have to do is hit download, and we're going to download this as a PNG. Start download, save it to the desktop. It'll pop up right here. And then we're going to go into my LinkedIn, create a post. This is exactly what I said earlier. Going to upload it here. And then, is this done? And then we're going to put in, check out my LinkedIn banner. Oh, I should capitalize LinkedIn. We're in a professional setting here. LinkedIn banner. And then what was the hashtags? It was Adobe Dream Internship and hashtag express it. Boom. Done. Posted. Please go like it, everybody. This the post is a little out of context, but boom, there it is. And then once you're finished, hit share, copy link, and then you drop it into the LinkedIn chat right there. So super easy. I literally did it in like a minute. So feel free to do that while you're listening into the session. And then by the end of the session, we will pick our giveaway winners. All right, you three, Michaela, Kennedy, Emily, are y'all ready to answer some questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's do it. So with that, if anyone in the chat has any questions, feel free to start spamming with any questions you have regarding like how to find an internship, how they landed their internships, stuff about civil engineering, anything you want to ask. So feel free to go ahead and spam that chat. But we're going to start with introductions. So we'll just go down. I'll call on someone so we're not all running into each other. But let's start off with who you are, what you do, and a little bit about yourself. Let's start with Makayla.
Howdy, my name is Michaela Ritchie. I'm a rising sophomore at Texas A&M University, and currently I'm a civil engineering intern at Schultz Engineering, which is a land development firm, which is working on projects all around College Station and the Bryan area, and I work a lot in AutoCAD and doing drafting for civil engineering.
Awesome. Let's go with Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm 24 from Montreal, and I graduated in 2020 from civil engineering. Now I worked on a light rail project and now on a bridge project as a project manager role.
Lovely. And then Kennedy.
Hey, I'm Kennedy. I'm a senior at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And this summer I worked with Kiewit in the power delivery department. So I was helping model insulators for power lines.
That is so cool. Oh my goodness. Okay. Awesome. So first question for all three of you. How did you get started? How did you come across your internship, or Emily, your role? And yeah, how did you how did everything start? Basically. Makayla, we'll go in that order. Makayla,
Okay.
Emily, Kennedy.
So for me, we had a specific civil engineering career fair through the ASCE club at A&M. And I met a lot of companies through there and got a lot of experience talking to recruiters. But my actual internship, I looked up a huge list of all the civil engineering firms in College Station and just started emailing or applying to all of them, just hoping to maybe get the opportunity. So I didn't really get it through a traditional way. The company that I work for is a lot smaller. So I found the email for the recruiting director, and I emailed them my resume and ended up getting an interview and eventually the job.
Nice. Awesome. And Emily?
I'm in a full-time role, but my internship that led me to my first full-time job, I found through my university's career website, where they basically just post a bunch of civil engineering postings that might interest you. So I also just spam applied everywhere and then got an answer back, and that's what actually led me into my full job.
Oh my gosh, love that. And Kennedy?
Yeah, so similar to Michaela and Emily, I didn't get it directly from like a career fair, but I was exposed to Kiewit as a company through our career fair. So we had one that was just for like STEM majors and things like that I attended, and I saw them, but I didn't speak to them because they weren't really on my radar. But after speaking to some other friends who are also civil engineers, I found out that they were coming back to our campus, and they were like kind of just talking about what positions they had available. So I talked to recruiters, and then I started applying to their positions that they recommended. So yeah, I kind of got exposed to them at the career fair, but I applied outside of that and then got an interview and so on.
Nice. Oh my gosh, love hearing all of your individual journeys. So when did you know that you wanted to pursue a career in civil engineering? Because that's so specific. So how did you first get into it?
I think for me, it started when I came into college. I really knew I wanted to do engineering. Um, and then as I went on and through some of the classes, and at A&M, we have this thing called DI Saturday, which is you go and it's a bunch of informationals about each individual engineering. And I went to the civil engineering one, and I just really fell in love with it. It was just something I could see myself doing. I loved the environment of the whole program. So that was kind of really when I decided that I wanted to pursue it.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, I only really realized I wanted to do civil engineering once I started studying civil engineering. I didn't know much about any of the engineering fields beforehand. I didn't really know anyone who was an engineer. So once I started and took some more classes and just talked to different people and different professors, what they do, I realized I liked it more and more, especially working in the construction industry. So that's what I really love.
Unlike Makayla, I had no clue what I wanted to do when I got to school. So I changed my major maybe 6 times. But once I finally landed on engineering, I took a few classes and realized I didn't want to do architectural engineering. I didn't want to do mechanical. And I found that I really liked the breadth that you get with civil engineering. And you can really do a lot with civil engineering, which I really found appealing. And I like the classes a lot more than the other disciplines in engineering. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. Okay, okay. It sounds like it was kind of like a long process for y'all to like one decide that you want to do civil engineering and then two like the application process. So what was the application process like when applying to your internship or Emily like your first role as well?
So for a lot of them, it's a traditional online application through their website, or some people at career fairs, you hand them your resume and you hope
Mhm.
that maybe they'll end up getting back to you. But I think a better bet is going online and applying like how all of us kind of did. A lot of them are traditional applications, but some firms don't have um, the applications online, but you can find their recruiters' emails, and you just reach out and be bold and hope that you'll get a
Yeah.
response.
Yeah, I agree with Michaela too, because I think good advice is just to even cold email people or look on LinkedIn. And if you have a company that might interest you, look for people similar to your age, maybe someone who just graduated, and then you could reach out to them and they could refer you. Because for me, for my full-time job, I got it through a reference, someone that I went to university with who worked there. And that way it usually goes a lot faster and they trust the person that referred you. And in terms of the application process, I know that for most of me and people in my university, it was pretty similar. Like we would get a phone screen call and then usually one or two in-person interviews. And that's about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think networking and really using LinkedIn to kind of get your foot in the door with certain companies that you're really interested in, I think that's great. But yeah, the application process is pretty straightforward. But for Kiewit specifically, when I applied, they kind of told me like, they gave me options of like, well, we think you might be more suitable for this other job. And like, so they kind of gave more options. So that was something I thought was pretty interesting about the application process with Kiewit.
Mhm. Nice. Okay. So we have a couple of questions from chat. Ellie asked, "What was the most applicable thing you learned in school that helped you in your internship?"
I think for me is to be flexible and have good problem solving skills, because as much as all the classes they help you learn the skills, but being able to put them in use in very specific situations, you just have to learn how to problem solve and be flexible on using your different skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say also the biggest thing that you learn that's applicable is just problem solving. We go through many problems that we don't even know the answer to, so you just have to, try to come up with some logical explanation. And unless you're going into a design field, what you learn in school isn't directly applicable always, but this is a huge help and can be applied to any role.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say I think the basics pretty much like are very applicable. I mean, at least for what I was doing, a lot of the basic things you kind of learn early in engineering is kind of what I was doing every day. But I was doing more design stuff, I guess. But yeah, it wasn't anything too complicated. But I think the basics is kind of where you start, and everything builds off of that. So I think having a good, firm understanding of like the basics of civil engineering is something that's very applicable for me.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, next question. What are some hobbies that you have that could be giving you an edge in the civil engineering industry?
I think one thing that really helped me was I was in theater throughout high school, so I kind of know how to present myself or at least put on a face that I'm confident. And I think that really helps set me apart in recruiting aspects because not that there's a stigma, but there is sort of a stigma that engineers are more introverted and not as well as communicating. So that was one thing that I got complimented on by a lot of recruiters is being able to just speak to them and have a good conversation. And I think that's such a great skill to have. And I definitely attribute a lot of that to being in theater. But that would be one thing. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that was a creative answer. I love that.
For me, I did dance a lot when I was younger. I was a dance instructor and a tennis instructor, so I would always mention those on my resume and in interviews just to give something a bit different that not everyone has and shows that I'm not just serious and focused on my grades, but I can be well-rounded. So they always like that.
I love that.
Yeah, I do a few like business competitions every now and then, some kind of case competitions, things like that. So I really feel like I've improved on my people skills and like presenting skills, which, like Michaela mentioned, engineers are not known for their people skills. So I think that's kind of something that sets you apart from other people that are in the industry.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I feel like that's such a great like tip, like to just be well-rounded in your application that not everything that you do has to be like engineering or like STEM specific. And I love how all three of you kind of had like more interpersonal skills or like some like with the arts and stuff too. So that was really, really cool to learn about you all. Okay. Next question. How has it been being a female in a male-dominated field?
Honestly, I think I've enjoyed it. I raced motocross when I was younger, which was a male dominated sport. So I had a lot of experience of kind of being the outsider in a male dominated field. But it really pushed me to learn that if you work hard enough and prove yourself, you'll earn the respect of others. And sometimes it's not about like what other people think about you, it's having the confidence in yourself and knowing that you earned your place there and you deserve to have a spot there just as much as anyone else.
Love that.
Yeah, I really agree with Michaela on the last part, especially because sometimes when you come into a job and it's mostly men and older men who have been in the position for a while, they can have a certain stigma about you. But if you say things and justify it and show that you actually know what you're talking about and want to learn and why you want to be there, then they'll just respect you.
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, skill, if you just know what you're doing, it's going to override any kind of stigma that they can have against you. So, yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay. So Anne asked, can you tell us a bit about a day in the life of a civil engineer?
Yeah, so for my internship, my day, I pretty much work in AutoCAD all day. I get projects from our professional engineers, which is shortened PE, if you ever hear that term. And I create plan sheets and all the sheets for projects that we work on and work on a lot of exhibits that present all the projects. And then also what's called red lines from engineers, which is when they correct things and making the fixes that they want to fix. And I do a lot of stuff like that throughout my day.
For me, it really depends on the day. Project management, you can do something different every day. Right now, we're in the process of bidding on a project. So I'm in the office full time and I'm doing a lot of planning. So just planning how we're going to do the civil engineering portion of the works, a lot of meeting, talking with the designers and engineers who are designing the project just to coordinate and try to optimize our bid.
Nice.
For me, mine was kind of the same stuff every day, but the actual projects I was doing varied, very, like they varied a lot. So I would basically just go into this software. It's called Powerline System CAD. So it's this software that helps you model power lines and things like that. And I would go in there and I would insert whatever loads and axial forces and things like that into the software, and it would like tell me what the insulator strength needs to be, things like that. And then I would record it into some kind of Excel sheet that our client would want us to have, and I would, like Makayla said, I would have to go in and do red lines and make any changes and stuff like that. But that was pretty much like my day to day.
Y'all, that sounds like amazing day-to-days, and I know nothing about anything y'all just said. I'm gonna be very honest. But it was very informative for those who are interested in civil engineering and know what these ladies are talking about. And altogether, I just feel like it's super fascinating to hear how people's day-to-days are different, and especially the three of you, you're in similar fields, similar jobs, and some parts of your days are similar and some parts are very different. So very, very fascinating. Okay, next question comes from Marco. What do you know now that would have made the most impact for you if you had known about it earlier?
I would probably say is to believe in yourself. Things are going to get hard. Engineering, it's known to be hard for a reason, and things aren't always going to be perfect all the time. You're probably going to get bad grades. You're going to struggle, but it's all worth it in the end. And to keep pushing through it and never lose the belief in yourself that you can do it, because if you work hard enough, it'll happen.
Love that.
For me, I would say that the more I got into my career, the more I realized how many different fields of career you can go into from a civil engineering degree. So maybe just to take more time in university and really ask a lot of people around, because you might think there's like 5 roles that you can go into, but there's hundreds and everyone's job can be completely different. So take some time, ask around, and look up different jobs.
I would say I would tell myself, or someone who's kind of early in their civil engineering like studies, I would tell them to really work on networking, because I think networking is very important. Even just like networking with people in the surrounding area to just be exposed to what you can even do with a civil engineering degree. And maybe you can get some kind of internship, some kind of part-time job, some kind of mentorship opportunity out of that. Because I think just as an engineer, it's kind of hard to get out there. So I think starting early is always really good.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Love all of those pieces of advice. Emily, you mentioned that there are different like categories in like when you go into civil engineering, like there are different fields you
Mhm.
can go into. So you each all have different focuses, right, in the civil engineering category. How did y'all decide on the focus that you wanted to focus on?
For me, I think I'm lucky I'm still so early in my schooling that I haven't completely chosen a set path yet.
Mm-hmm.
My internship has given me insight on a singular path, which is land development, and I may see a future in it, but I think I'm lucky enough I still get time to like explore the other ones, and I definitely plan to explore all the different paths as I go forward.
Nice.
For me, well, what I specialized in school is different from what I'm doing now. I specialized in like concrete and steel design, so that's more if you're going to be a design engineer, where I'm on the construction side, just in project management. But um, I realized I wanted to do structural engineering as opposed to the other fields just by taking a lot of the core classes. all engineering departments have to take the same courses for the first like 2 years. So by taking courses that I didn't like, I just ruled some fields out.
Nice.
For
That's a good
me,
tip.
I thought I wanted to be more on like the, I don't know, like architectural side, but like I mentioned earlier that when I applied, they kind of like recommended other departments to me, and they recommended power delivery. And I have some family members that are in power delivery, and they just kind of were really supportive of trying that out because they're like it's a new and like up and coming like sector of engineering. And so I tried it out, and I really enjoyed it this summer. So yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. So, oh, I have a question from Barsha. Was it challenging to change careers, and how did you deal with it? So, for those who are switching around, or like when you're exploring different fields from going one to another, like was it challenging making that switch?
I don't have much experience in that, so I might pass it on to the next
That's
person.
totally fine.
Yeah, I recently went through this. I started with my full-time job after graduating and switched to a different job about 5 months ago. So I would say it is challenging, first of all, because I changed my type of position completely. I used to be an estimator, and now I switched over to project management just because I thought it would be better for my career development. But it is really hard because you come from a job where you're more established, people know you, and people know what to expect of you and what type of work you can produce. Whereas now it's like you have to prove yourself all over again. So that is very challenging, but it's a good challenge.
Yeah, I haven't had any experience with changing careers, but in terms of changing majors, I have a lot of experience with that. But I think if you just aren't afraid to start switching your major early, because like I know Emily mentioned earlier, like your first 2 years are all going to be taking the same classes. So if you want to explore with the different engineering disciplines, I think that would be really smart. But I don't think it was too challenging because the classes are so similar. But yeah, just don't be afraid to try new majors.
Love that. Love that. Okay, next question comes from Noelle. Have you ever been faced with an issue that you could not handle on the job? And if so, how did you go about dealing with the issue?
I think one of the greatest upsides of internships are they're about learning. And for me, if I ever face any problems, I would go to the PEs and they would teach me how to do it. And they would walk me through it on how to fix the problem and things to go through. And I think that's a really important part about internships and why they're so beneficial is they're really there about learning. And I think that's a really great example of it is when you face problems, you go and ask for help for people that are knowledgeable and they can really help you out.
Yeah, I agree with Michaela. I mean, we're all early in our careers, so usually there's always someone above you that can help you out and who is happy to help you out. So don't be afraid to ask for help when needed.
Yeah, with the stuff I was doing every day, it seemed like the project I was working on, there was something that I had never seen before. And at first, I was really nervous to ask questions, but throughout my internship, I realized that there were some full time hires that knew as little as I knew about what I was looking at. So I just learned to not be afraid to ask questions because in engineering, like you're going to get some things that you've never seen before, and that's just part of the process. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I feel like asking questions is super important. I feel like when you don't ask enough questions or, you're always if you just leave the table unsure about something, that's where a lot of the mistakes happen. And that's something that I definitely learned as well. I'm definitely a shyer type. So like sometimes I feel like I'm bothering someone by like answering or by asking them a question, but really it's better to ask a million questions than to not ask any questions and then get everything wrong later. So I feel like
Yeah.
definitely in civil engineering, you should not assume.
Yeah.
You should not try to do things yourself and ask all the questions because that job, I imagine that role would be really hard if you made a mistake. Okay,
Yeah, I also
so
think it's
yeah.
really just another point. I think it's really good to ask questions because it shows that you want to learn. It's better
Hmm.
to always ask a question and try to think of one just to show your boss or
Yeah.
whoever you're working with that you're interested and want to learn more. So
Hmm. Yes, love that. Next question comes from Nathaniel. What have you learned in your internship that has helped you in class?
I think one thing for me is seeing the practical application of a lot of the things you learn in school. It helps you really push forward because sometimes when you're in class, I don't understand, like, I don't get why I have to do this and I would never do this. But when you're actually using it and getting to see the practical applications of things, it really helps reiterate why you're taking those classes and helps kind of drive you to refocus in school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Love that.
agreed. I think it just helps you get a better understanding of what it's actually like to work as an engineer and what types of things you could be doing day to day, because they don't touch on that as much in school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say just getting my internship and being in power delivery, which was like a department I had never heard of, it just made me realize how broad civil engineering was, and that like helped motivate me to want to keep working in my classes and to see that like even though this seems very like niche and like there's one way to use this one thing I'm learning in class, it can be applied in so many different ways. So, kind of helps motivate me.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that. All great experiences. I feel like that's really interesting because a lot of the times people ask, like, what did you learn in class that you can apply to your internship? So it was great hearing the answers of how did your internship help you out in class? So really, really interesting. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break from Q&A, and we are just going to take a little, that was a lot of questions we threw at you, so we're just going to take a little mental break and make some room for creativity. And Kennedy, you are going to walk us through how you made a really awesome LinkedIn profile pic, along with some new LinkedIn banners also made by Makayla and Emily, all in Adobe Express, which, by the way, just a quick reminder for everyone tuning in, we are running a giveaway. Where you just have to create from the template that our team member will drop in the chat. It is a LinkedIn banner. Post on your LinkedIn and share the link back into this chat so that you could be randomly selected for a piece of swag or a one-on-one mentorship with any of the panelists or a free year of Creative Cloud. So feel free to enter that. But I am going to share my screen and Kennedy will walk us through the process of how she made her LinkedIn banner. All right, let's do it.
Okay, so as you can see, that's the picture that we're going to be going for. So you're going to go to your home screen. Oh, you should probably mute it.
Oh, what?
And you're going to want to do like a square. So the width should be 800 to 800, but the number doesn't really matter. Um, and so then you're going to want to go to photos and you're going to hit upload photo and you're going to want to get the headshot that you want. So whatever headshot that is, but yeah, that's the picture. So I'm going to go to crop and shape and I'm going to go to the circle shape and I'm going to just, adjust it to where my face is directly in the center of the circle. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to hit done and I'm going to hit remove background. And there's this cool software that does it for you. So you don't really have to do much except hit the button. But yeah, so if you like it, then you can hit done. And then you go to shapes and you're going to type in circle and you're going to get like the kind of perimeter of a circle. And you're going to click on that and change it to whatever color you want. I chose a color that matches the banner I previously have on my like LinkedIn background. So, but you can choose whatever color you want. So then I'm gonna like minimize it to make it where it fits to my face. I'm gonna make it just a little bit like over my head, but yeah, as you can see, there's a little like layer order function you can use to make sure that you can like move each element on the board. That just is a little tip. But now you're going to duplicate it and you're going to remove the background where it's just your head floating. It looks a little weird right now, but it'll make sense. And you're going to want to make sure you don't have any like floating bits and just make sure you get everything cut out. And once you're done with that, you hit the check mark and you're going to want to line that up with the head that's already there. And you're going to go to layer order and make sure it's on the top of all the elements so it pops above the circle that you placed earlier. And you're going to line it back up with your body. And you're going to, I just like decreased the size of the circle so it really pops out even more. And then I'm just going to center it. Okay, and then you go to photos, and I typed in pink to the Adobe stock section, and I just looked for some kind of textured background that would make it not super boring, make it look more kind of interesting. And I'll do the crop shape function again and make it a circle. And then I'm going to go to like the layer order and put it behind the headshot. So it's like a backdrop, but it's still in the circle. And then after that, we're going to change the background to be the same color as the perimeter. And yeah. So that's basically it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I just like collected all the elements together and made it bigger. So when I put it on my LinkedIn, it's just a little easier to adjust it to the profile picture thing. But yeah, then you're going to name it. You can download it as a PNG or whatever you think will fit best. And then you'll click on your profile picture, hit add a photo and upload photo. And you will choose the one that you just downloaded. And you can just zoom it in to whatever fits the best and adjust it to where it's right in the center. And that's it.
That is so awesome. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Oh, and we got the vortex. Okay. No, that was such a good way to make your profile picture. I am about to redo all my profile pictures now because mine are basic. But yeah, super cool, super easy. And that was the profile picture. I think I said banner, but we're going to talk about banners next. But yes, that was the profile picture. So how to make your headshot stand out in LinkedIn. And just like a quick question, what do y'all think that like how your headshot is like presented is important on LinkedIn, like for the profile?
I think it is.
Yeah, it's like the first like impression or something. Like, do you have any like headshot tips? Like that was a really good photo, and both all three of you have really good photos. You know, like what is like kind of like the headshot like hot take, the tip that you would provide?
Yeah, I think having like a good senior picture is probably good, but once you've kind of gotten farther away from your senior times, I think just having some kind of blank backdrop. And the one that I used in that, I was outside like on the quad at my school, but I like blurred the background, so it's basically like a blank background. So I think as long as you have your face really in focus and the background's kind of like one unit, I think it looks good.
Nice. And then anything to add, Makayla or Emily? For,
yeah,
like,
I
headshot
would just
tips?
say have something that you think is a good representation of yourself, like a photo that you think presents yourself in the best light. And because it is the first thing recruiters will see on LinkedIn if that's how they're finding you. So just presenting yourself in the way you'd like to be seen initially.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then I just put up Kennedy's profile up again so you could see the photo. It looks so good. Okay, so next, Emily and Makayla, you want to talk about LinkedIn banners? Like, what did you all do here? You made all of these are in Express, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Express was really easy to use. It took me about 5 minutes, but I basically just wanted something that represents my field a bit. So also advocating for women in STEM. So I searched up like a woman in engineering silhouette picture straight on the Adobe Express, put that template. They already have like LinkedIn banner templates pre-made with the sizing already done. So it's really simple. I just put my name on it. I wanted something simple.
Nice. I love it. And then Makayla, this is yours. Oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Yeah, mine was really similar to Emily. I just used the template, found a great background that I really liked that kind of represented civil engineering, and just put my name on it. And Express was super easy to use, and yeah.
Yeah, and these are all backgrounds you found on Express that you sourced?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. I did not even recognize this. Like, what was like the process? Like, did you put like was this just like its own plain background, or did you put like different elements like on it?
Yeah, I just searched up civil engineering in
Mm-hmm.
the photo,
And something came up.
and then I added the text box with my name.
Mm-hmm.
So really simple but easy to customize to kind of fit how you like it.
Oh my
Yeah, they had
gosh.
like hundreds of pictures in the stock album. Like just I specifically typed up woman in engineering, a bit more specific, and I could have kept scrolling through pictures. So
Mm-hmm.
really, it was already pre-made basically.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Love that. Love that so much. See, super simple, y'all. They made their banners super quick. There's a lot of resources in Adobe Express. We have stock image, font recommendations, assets, all that stuff, all the tools you need to create a simple banner for your LinkedIn or a profile image. So thank you all so much for the demo and the show and tell. That was super amazing. And now everyone in the audience cannot see what you made, just a reminder to drop the link to your LinkedIn post after you make the banner with hashtag Adobe Dream Internship and hashtag Express It for a chance to be randomly selected for a one-on-one mentoring session with Kennedy, Michaela, or Emily, and the Year of Creative Cloud. So yes, just another reminder. We do have some time left, so we're going to go back into Q&A. We have time for a couple more questions. Um, let's see. Let's scroll. Okay. So Stony asked, have you ever had to present a topic to your peers, and how did you deal with the feelings of like being new to the field that you're in, like being the new kid in the room?
In my internship, there's people that get hired at different times, and there's times where a newer intern, since I've been at the internship for a little over 8 months, they'll ask me for help on what to do. And it feels weird because I feel like, oh, I'm very unknowledgeable. But when you really look back on it, you realize, oh, I know more than I actually think. And yeah, I think it's having the confidence in yourself and knowing that a lot of the people of your peers' age are going through the same thing, and you guys, no one knows everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I can relate to this a lot when having to like lead a meeting, for example. At first, that was really scary to me, and I thought, like, what if someone asks a question and I don't know how to answer it? But everyone's really understanding, and they chose you to present for a reason, so you obviously have some knowledge on the topic. So as long as you explain where you're coming from and try to get your point across clearly, and it's an open like forum, so if there's a question you ever don't know, you can just be honest and say you don't have the answer and come back to it, but just be confident in what you're saying. You'll get used to it.
Yeah, there were times where I would have to kind of explain my projects to other interns that were in the same department, but like they were in the same department, but they were doing completely different projects. So I would have to explain what I was doing and like the process. And it's a little nerve wracking to be like, oh, shoot, do I actually know what I'm talking about? But I think it's a great way to actually observe how well you have been learning the process and to really just kind of quiz yourself. So, like, if they're asking me questions, I really want to make sure I explain why you want to use this Excel sheet and why you want to use this force or this load, because it's just that will help them learn and it will help you reinforce what you've already learned. So try to
Mm-hmm.
use it as like a learning opportunity for yourself.
Love that. Love that. And going back a little bit, we have some reactions from when we were doing the demos. Dr. Tommy said, great to see more queens in engineering. Grace said, super cool, and said, really nice. Thank you for the walkthrough, Kennedy. Lisa said, I'm about to redo mine. Sony said, Kennedy made us all need to update our profile pics. And Hunter said, this was so great. Love it. Awesome. Can't wait to see everyone's designs in the chat. Post the links in the chat, by the way. That's how we will get your entries. Okay, back to the questions. Okay, so Jamie asks, okay, on the other hand, when we talked about like things that you learned from the internship that you brought back to class, on the other hand, have you actually used the things you learned in class and have it click in real life at the internship or at your job?
I think for me, I've definitely realized in class you learn a lot more general things, and then when you're in your job, you're doing a lot more specific things. But definitely just the general knowledge on what you're doing definitely carries over into the internships.
Mhm.
For me, I would say, yeah, first of all, mostly problem solving that we learned in class. But other than that, a lot of the basics. I mean, like for example, I'm working on a bridge project now. So in my structural classes, I did learn about bridge design, and that really helps to have the background on that. Whereas if you were just to come into the position knowing nothing about a bridge, so it definitely can be applied. I also learned some specific things like sensitivity analysis, which is big in engineering, to compare costs and quantities of products. So that I actually used in my real jobs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I was kind of briefly exposed to stuff like scheduling, so it was really cool seeing. Well, not cool, but it was interesting seeing like if a schedule gets delayed because I don't know the supply chain has been messed up or some I don't know insulator material is no longer available, so now they everything's like has a wrench thrown in it. So I thought that was kind of interesting because when you hear about scheduling and stuff like that, but it was cool seeing it actually in person.
Mhm. Love that. Okay. So throughout this talk, we've talked about like how you got started, right? And where did you find your internship? Where did like how did you get into your career, all that stuff. But we never addressed why. So like why civil engineering? Why did you want to pursue this specific path?
Hmm. I think one of the reasons I narrowed it down was I really love physics, and that is a huge part of civil engineering. And I think it was just something that really combined all my interests. And there's so many different areas of civil that you can go into. And a lot of the engineering fields kind of combine in a way where if you get an engineering degree, you can go so many different ways in it. So I really loved how broad it was and how many opportunities it had.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't know much about civil engineering before starting, but I did know that it leaves all your doors open. Everyone would tell me that when I was thinking about studying engineering. So that's a great thing. No matter even if you don't like engineering after studying it, you can easily get a job in somewhere else. People always like seeing engineering students because they know how to problem solve and they're hard workers. But other than that, I also always liked math and physics courses. So that's the main reason I went into engineering.
Yeah, I mean, I think the classes are hard, but I feel like it's kind of rewarding when you get through a really difficult class. But I would say I wanted to be architecture, like an architect, but I found myself being more interested in the reasons like what makes a good building, like what makes a building last for hundreds of years and what makes it crumble in like 25 years. So I just found myself more intrigued with the whys instead of going to like design like a really beautiful building or something like that.
Mhm. Love it. Love all those answers. Next question. What is the next question? The next question is, what would you say is the hardest part of your positions?
Hmm. I think for me, my company really taught me and the other interns a lot and really entrusted us with using our judgment on how to create these plans and how to best represent to show them to our clients and the city and everything. And I think that's been one of the hardest things to learn is having that responsibility of creating something from scratch and figuring out what's the best way to present this information to people who normally aren't engineers and how to convey the information we need them to figure out, but also include all the information that needs to be on there.
For me, I
Um,
would say the hardest part is learning the technical aspect. So, like I said, I didn't know anything much about bridge when I started my role. Whereas when I left my other position, I was doing a project in something completely different in rail. So the hardest part is just catching up with that and learning what needs to be done. Yeah.
I would say the hardest part of my position, like my internship, would probably be working with clients because it's really easy to teach yourself the process and like teach yourself all the skills you need. But for me, like the clients, they would always change what they wanted from us. They would always change how they wanted us to format things, or they would completely change like just so many things on just like the drop of a dime. So I really just had to learn how to keep up with that.
Yeah,
Mm.
Kennedy, that's a really good point because that happens a lot at my job. Like when we're working with the designers, we present an option and then the designers want something else and they want us to change it now. And then you kind of just have to be patient and still work through the alternatives they suggested, even if you know that won't be what is going to be constructed. So just be patient. There's a lot of back and forth, and everything's a really iterative process.
Nice. Oh my gosh, that sounds so difficult. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then so we have time for one more question. And I like to end a lot of my talks with this question. But if folks were to take one important thing, life lesson, a tip, piece of advice, whatever, from the stream, aka, or I just said it, your last piece of advice, like what would it be? This could be for anyone who's starting or anyone who's like trying to switch into civil engineering. Like what is like the one piece of advice that you would leave for someone who wants to pursue this career?
I think for me, it would be to believe in yourself, and you're really going to be your biggest supporter. And always know to keep pushing because it's going to get hard. I think I said this earlier in the stream, but it's going to be difficult, but it's really worth it in the end. And really, if you have your own back throughout all of it, it makes it so much easier if you're not fighting yourself. So, really believe in yourself and trust the process as you go through it.
Nice.
I agree with Michaela that always you have to be confident, and even if you're a minority in the field like women are, especially in construction where I am, to just keep going and be confident in yourself, and others will think you are confident. But another main takeaway I would say specifically about civil engineering is that don't lock yourself into one box. You can always try a different position, a different type of job, even go to a full different type of field. I have many friends who switched completely their jobs. So don't be afraid to jump.
I would say don't focus too much on the technical things. Like don't just focus completely on school. I would say really work on building those people skills and having good connections with your professors and other students, because I mean, I think just having good connections with other students can kind of remind you that you're not like, even though you're not struggling alone. Like everyone's having a hard time with these classes, and having connections with professors, it can expose you to different like routes as a civil engineer that you might not even know about. So that's what my advice would be.
Love it. Well, boom. There you go, everybody. 3 amazing pieces of advice, and also the secret sauce to landing an internship in civil engineering. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to chat with us, all 3 of you. I'm sure on behalf of the Adobe community, we all really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone in chat for tuning in and hanging out with us. And yeah, it's just been a great night filled with so much value and information, and I'm pretty sure that, like, you know, I feel really good that folks feel confident in not only just sprucing up their LinkedIn banners and stuff, but also pursuing a career in civil engineering. So before y'all go, reminder about the giveaway. We're still taking entries. The session has not ended, so please post your links to the banner templates that you remixed in the chat. We would love to see what you made, and also have y'all get a one-on-one mentorship with Makayla, Emily, and Kennedy, and also a free year of Creative Cloud. And also, before you go, we'd love your feedback on this event so that we can make it better for you in the future. So please take a moment to fill out our post-event survey, and the link is in the chat, as with everything else. All right, with that said, that wraps it up for the session. Thank you all so much for joining, and thanks so much, Kennedy, Makayla, and Emily, for joining us this evening. You can find full episodes of past events on our Young Creators YouTube playlist or the Adobe Express YouTube channel. And to find out about upcoming events, you can also join our Adobe Creative Community Discord server or our Adobe Student Newsletter. Again, links in the chat, as with everything. But with that said, have a great evening, everyone. I hope y'all have a good night. All right. Bye, friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.